All right, this is going to be day 1 of your STAAR countdown, aka preparation and review for your STAAR test that's coming on May 5th. So each day we're going to focus on one broad topic and we're going to be using Pear Deck. So if you are watching this video right now, it means you're doing it asynchronously and it's going to be on your student paced work on Pear Deck. So you're going to use the link to the Pear Deck and this video to help you fill out at least this assignment for review. And at the end, you're going to be working on the STAAR questions using the Rake method, and I will go over that with you in this video. There is an exit ticket at the end of every single review day that kind of summarizes and helps you reevaluate everything that you're going to need to know on the material for the day. And it's helpful because they're STAAR test questions from the past, so you'll get used to the format of the test and kind of how the information is presented. This is kind of the calendar of what we have left. We're right here for day 1. And so you have a couple weeks until your biology STAAR down here on May the 5th. So how are we going to practice STAAR questions? Well, we're going to use the Rake method. And Rake, the R stands for read and highlight the important points of the question that is presented to you and maybe some of the answer choices. A stands for asking what. What is the question asking you? I want you to rephrase it so that you know exactly what you're going to be looking for or thinking about. The K stands for knowledge, or what knowledge you have on this content so that you can apply it in order to do step 4E, which is eliminate and choose the best answer. So you're going to use your knowledge that you've accumulated to eliminate the answer choices that obviously aren't right and then choose the best answer. So it's just like raking a leaf. It takes time, but the end result is worth it. How cheesy. So on your Pear Deck, it's going to look kind of like this, where you're going to get the option to draw and type. And essentially, you're going to be highlighting sections in here. You're going to be typing in here, and then you're going to be crossing out and circling over here to get your final answer. So the first topic we're going to go over are animal implant systems. And we haven't done this since like week 6, so it's been a long time. There is a cheat sheet that you can use while you are doing your Rake method on the practice questions if you need them. In case after we go through this, you're still not really sure about the knowledge material on the plant and animal systems. But when you actually do the test, obviously you won't have those cheat sheets. So you might as well use them now to try to integrate the material into your knowledge. So the first thing is levels of organization. We're going from most complex to least complex. And as you can see, there's an organism to an organ to a tissue to a cell. And we're going from the top to the bottom as the most complex because an organism is made up of organ systems. And organ systems contain organs, which contain a bunch of tissues, which are made up of a bunch of cells. So you're going from the bottom to the top to build larger and larger and more complex and more complex. So I'm going to ask you to do this, even though you might have seen it before in your interactive notebook. I'm going to ask you to drag the icon. You're going to drag the red dot to the most complex thing on here, and you're going to drag the yellow dot to the least complex thing on here. So pause and go ahead and do that. So for this question, which of the following correctly lists the biological levels of organization from A to E? Is it A, tissue, cell, organ, organism, organ system? Is it B, organism, organ system, organ, tissue, cell? Is it C, cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organism? Or D, cell, organ, tissue, organ system, organism? So A, B, C, D, E, I want you to pick the correct labeling order for this organization and choose your answer choice. So pause and do that. We're going to review the body system now. There's a lot of them, so we're going to review them and review their interactions.
You ever wonder how our bodies work inside? We move, we breathe, we eat, we think, and somehow somehow stay alive. We have 12 major systems. They're like a personal crew. Each one does something different. We'll introduce them to you. Skeletal, muscular, circulatory, nervous, digestive and excretory, reproductive, respiratory, immune, lymphatic, renal or urinary, endocrine and integumentary. Skeletal, muscular, circulatory, nervous, digestive and excretory, reproductive, respiratory, immune, lymphatic, renal or urinary, endocrine and integumentary. I'm your skeleton, my bones support you, protect your organs from things that could hurt you.
I'm your muscles and I help you move. When you exercise, you see what I can do.
Circulatory, here with blood vessels and heart. I bring things like oxygen to all your body parts. I have a system that makes you a little nervous. I said neural signals as a service.
We're digestive and excretory. Welcome to the intestine loop.
I turn food into energy.
I turn the rest into poop.
With the reproductive systems, and here's what we're doing. We make certain hormones. Oh, we also make humans.
Take a breath. Respiratory systems on your side. Airways bring in oxygen and let go of carbon dioxide.
I'm your immune system, and I fight off disease. I protect you better when you wash your hands, so wash your hands, please.
I'm lymphatic, I drain and kill toxins and help with immunity.
I'm the renal, I clean your blood and make pee. Oh, come on. Everybody pees.
Yeah, I'm the endocrine. My glands and hormones in like a flood to your blood to help your body grow.
Integumentary means nails, hair, and skin from your head to your toe.
There are many other systems, but we are the main ones. Keeping you going takes cooperation. Skeletal, muscular, circulatory, nervous, digestive and excretory, reproductive, respiratory, immune, lymphatic, renal or urinary, endocrine and integumentary. Skeletal, muscular, circulatory, nervous, digestive and excretory, reproductive, respiratory, immune, lymphatic, renal or urinary, endocrine and integumentary.
Cute. So that was a video that kind of went over the purposes and systems and their purposes of our bodies. And to be quite honest, these are not just our human systems. They're systems that you find in most, if not all, animals. So that's kind of an overall thing. So you're gonna take some time now to use the pen tool and choose which system applies to which set of key terms. For example, which system is the skin, hair, and nails? Which system is the liquid waste and urine and filtering? Which system involves blood, transport, veins, and arteries? Which system involves solid waste, nutrient absorption, food, and eating? And then which system involves muscles? I think that says ligaments and maybe tendons. So use your pen tool and color in the bubble that belongs with each of these key term sets. Pause and go ahead and do that. So let's talk about some organ system interactions now that we've gone over the actual organ systems. Breathing is the process of taking air in and out of your lungs, as shown by the diagram, inhalation and exhalation. Which two organ systems are responsible for breathing? And for each, how do you know they're involved? Write your response. If you look at a hint, the labels on this diagram for exhalation will help you out a lot. Pause and go ahead and work on that. So breathing, the air we breathe is going into and out of our lungs, which is part of the respiratory system. And then the diaphragm is the muscle that actually moves to push air out or drag air into the lungs. So that would be muscular system. For gas exchange, intake of oxygen and removal of carbon dioxide at the lung surface occurs. And oxygen moves into the blood and carbon dioxide when it goes out of the alveoli, or the little bubbles inside of your lung. It also moves back into the alveoli when you're exchanging it again as carbon dioxide. So oxygen into the blood, carbon dioxide out of the blood, and the lungs breathe in air, which is gonna oxygen in it, and then they're going to breathe out carbon dioxide. So which two organ systems are responsible for the process of gas exchange? And for each, how do you know? So specifically tell me which two and explain each one as how you know it's involved. Pause and complete that. So for gas exchange, the respiratory system is involved when new oxygen is entering our body and carbon dioxide is leaving, because that's through our lungs. The alveoli are part of your lungs. The circulatory system is also involved. Like we said, the blood is the one transporting the oxygen away from the lungs and the carbon dioxide back to the lungs. So oxygen is dropped off for cells to use, and will use during the process of cellular respiration when they're producing energy. So that's super, super important. But the blood and the circulatory system is the transportation system for these materials. Let's talk a little bit about some plant structures now. Plants are broken into two main systems: the root system that includes everything that's underground, and the shoot system that includes everything above the ground, which is like the leaves, the stems, and the flowers. So use your drawing tool. You can write it, or you can use text boxes. You're going to label what A is and what B is. Remember, the two terms are going to be shoot system and root system. Pause and complete this. So the function of the roots are to anchor plants, absorb water and minerals, and store sugars. They also help prevent erosion, so they prevent dirt from getting washed away whenever it rains. And so that the dirt layer stays nice and thick for plants and themselves and other plants to grow. Looking at these two examples between A and B, which type of root would absorb more water? And why do you think that? Write your response. The answer would probably be B. B absorbs more water because there's more surface area for water absorption to occur. There are roots and root hairs present, so they get more reach for water and more surface area to absorb the water. Example A is actually a carrot, which is a taproot, which stores sugars more than it is used for absorbing water. So the shoots involve the stem and leaves. And stems are mainly for supporting flowers and leaves as the plant is growing. They also help carry nutrients and water throughout the entire plant. And they produce leaves, branches, and flowers. So both the xylem and the phloem are responsible for transport. The xylem is the water and minerals moving from the roots to the leaves. So the water minerals are moving up against gravity. And the phloem are products of photosynthesis, aka sugars, moving from the leaves to the rest of the plant, so moving down, right? Flowing like a waterfall. It's going to flow up. Sorry, it's going to flow from the top down. And you can remember them by using the products of photosynthesis is the P and the P to match with the P of the phloem. So what human body system has the same function as the xylem and phloem? Please let me know by typing your response. Think of it, they're moving things around the plant system. What system in the human body moves things around the whole body? Write your answer as you pause. I want you to label which one of these two is the xylem and which one is the phloem. Make sure that you're focusing on the direction of movement of materials, right? Remember, one of these moves things up, like water and minerals, and one of these moves things down and up throughout the plant for the glucose or products of photosynthesis. So the answer is that the left one is the xylem because, as you can see, there are things only moving upwards, which would be water and minerals. And then the one on the right is the phloem because the sugars are moving up and down to go where they're needed to be used up and to go down where they're being stored in the roots. The leaves perform the process of photosynthesis, which is where you take the energy from the sunlight and store it in the form that you can actually put away and use later, aka glucose. They also perform gas exchange, which helps release oxygen as they take in carbon dioxide. The stomata are pores on the undersides of leaves. So the underside is the part that's facing down or away from the sun. And they're the ones that are in charge of letting carbon dioxide go in and out, as well as oxygen coming out of the leaves. They look like little mouths, and they sometimes let water out as well when it's really, really hot outside by a process called transpiration. They have guard cells on their outsides because stomata can allow too much water to escape due to transpiration when it's hot outside. So the guard cells will open up when there's a lot of water inside of them, aka there's a lot of water in the plant, so it's okay to be open and okay to lose some water. And then they'll also be closed sometimes when there's not that much water in the plant, so they can't risk losing more. So here's an actual microscopic image video of what a stomata looks like as it's opening and closing, and it looks kind of creepy. It's almost like lips or almost like an eyelid closing. So it depends on the condition outside. If it's really, really dry outside, the stomata are probably closed. If it's really, really hot outside, the stomata are probably closed. But if it's nice outside and there's plenty of water in the atmosphere, the stomata will be open so that the plant is not going to get dehydrated from losing water due to transpiration. So, question. If there's not a lot of water, would the stomata be opened or closed? And why do you know what you know? Explain your answer in at least one good complete sentence. So pause and complete this. So if we were in class, we would be taking a short little break right now, but you can take a break on your own if you want to, or you can continue and hustle through the rest of this slide set. So we talk about some plant reproduction now. The stamen is one part of the plant, and it is the quote unquote male part of the plant. And as you can see, it's labeled over here. The stamen is composed of the anther, which is this little knob on the top. And there's usually multiple of them, which produces pollen. And then there's also the filament that is in charge of holding the anther in the correct position. And by correct position, I mean where it'll hit the pollinators that are flying around or coming around to try to gather nectar and rub onto them so that the pollen can be transported to another flower. The carpel or pistil is the quote unquote female part of the plant. And as you can see here, it's marked. The stigma is the sticky stigma where the pollen is going to stick to. And then the style is what connects the stigma to the ovary. So it's this long tube that connects the sticky stigma where the pollen is collected to bring it all the way down to the ovary, which contains the ovule, and the ovary is going to actually become the fruit. like an apple or a watermelon, while the ovules inside, when they get fertilized from the pollen, become seeds. Flowers look pretty and smell nice. So they attract animals or just in general pollinators. And animals will touch the pollen from the anthers and transport the pollen from flower to flower as they go from different plants and move between the plants. So you can either write these or you can use your text boxes and fill these out to label where is the stamen, where is the pistil or carpel, where's the ovary, where's the anther, where's the petal, where's the filament, where's the stigma, and where's the style on this diagram of the flower. Pause and complete the blanks on this slide. Here are the answers. So as you can see, there's a petal on the outside. That's the colorful part that is very eye-catching. The stamen is the overall male part that consists of the anther, which is the knob at the top, and the filament, which is the thin strand holding up the anther. On the pistil or carpel over here, which is the overall female part, we have the sticky stigma at the top, we have the tube known as the style, and at the bottom we have the ovary that contains the ovules, which will become seeds. So fertilization is what happens after the pollen meets the stigma, and then seeds will form as the ovules get fertilized, and some of them will be protected by fruits because the ovary will actually swell and become the fruit that is a protective cushion or a delicacy to be eaten so that the ovule seeds can be transported elsewhere by poop. We have sunflower seeds, and as they dry, they become seeds that we eat. So I'm going to have you match the structure and function of the different parts of the plant reproductive structures. You can use your text boxes or you can just use a pen tool, whichever is easier, to tell me which function matches with the ovary, the stigma, the filament, the style, and the anther. Pause and complete this section. For planttropisms, we're going to talk first about phototropism, which is, based on the word that a photo is taken by capturing the light in that moment, right? So photo is related to light. The stimulus is going to be a light source, as said by the word's prefix. The response by the plant is going to be that the plant is going to grow toward the light source because the light is a source of energy that the plant is using for photosynthesis. So it's a good thing. It's going to want to go closer to it and it's going to want more of it. So the plant is going to actually lean towards wherever its light source is. Wherever the light's coming from, the plant, as it grows, will lean more towards it. Gravitropism or geotropism is based on the word that the Earth's geo or gravity pushes us to stay on the ground. And so the stimulus is going to be gravity based on the word. The response of the plants is that part of the plant grows toward and away from gravity. So the part that wants to grow towards or along with gravity is going to be the roots, right? Because it's going to follow gravity and grow downwards, because when it goes downwards, then it can access soil and get water. The other part of the plant, which is the shoot system, is going to want to grow away from gravity or against gravity and grow up because it's going to reach up and toward the light source. Plants can actually sense gravity, and that's how they are able to orient themselves from being a seed in the ground to making sure that the green part grows up and the roots grow down. So as you can see, the plant here is growing. Technically, it's growing upside down because there is no way for the actual plant itself to get any sunlight if it grows up into the tunnel. And in this diagram, you can see that the negative or against gravity part is negative geotropism, and that's the green part of the plant. While the bottom part over here is the roots, and that would be positive geotropism because it's going along with the gravity direction. Hydrotropism is related to water, right? To stay hydrated, you must drink water. For plants, they need water too for survival. So usually it's going to be related to the roots and the base of the plant where it's reaching for the water, wherever it can locate it. So the stimulus is water. The response is plant roots grow towards water. And this can happen even from a very, very, very small seed from the very beginning of the plant growing. You'll see that the aim is to get the roots as close to water as possible. Stigmotropism is T for touch. The stimulus is going to be touch or contact. And the response is going to be it's permanently moving and growing based on this touch. Now, this is usually talking about strands and tendrils of plants that need to be supported because the plant itself is soft-bodied. So like ivy, like grapes, they have vines that will grow and reach and touch onto a surface where they can kind of get some support and grab onto to grow upwards and more towards the sunlight. On the other hand, this is not a tropism, but it is an important plant response, and it's called nastic movement. Problem is that this one's also based on touch, but this one is not permanent. Right? The stimulus is touch, but it's instantaneous touch or reaction to a touch. And the response is going to be something that it can repeat or reverse and then repeat again. So as you can see, this little plant at the bottom, the mimosa plant, has been tapped, and it's going to protect itself by making sure it can't get too much contact where it can get bruised or broken by more contact, so it minimizes itself. On the left, you can see the Venus flytrap catching a fly, and upon touching the fly, when it lands, the Venus flytrap closes, and then it's going to slowly start digesting the fly with enzymes. So using the hearts that are on this slide, you're going to drag the red heart to the picture showing hydrotropism. You're going to drag the green heart to the picture showing geotropism, and then you're going to drag the yellow heart to the picture showing phototropism. Pause and complete that. So the first part of this is going to be read and highlight for the Rake method, right? We have the question. The epidermal cells and stomata have functions similar to those of which two human body systems? Okay, so we're going to highlight the important parts of this question. The epidermal cells are important for us to notice that this is a key point of the question. We need to know about the stomata as well of a plant. So now we are going to go ahead and ask or rephrase what the question is asking. The question is asking, which two human body systems are similar to the role that epidermal cells and stomata have in plants? So we're going to be making a comparison between animals and plants, and specifically about the two types of things that are epidermal cells and stomata. Now we're going to be browsing our knowledge, or if you're not really sure about your knowledge, even though we just went over it, you can use your cheat sheet. And we know that epidermal cells are like plant tissues, and we know that stomata for gas exchange occurs here. They open and close to let water in and out as well for plants. So we're going to go on to eliminate nonsense questions, or sorry, nonsense answer choices, where obviously we're talking about epidermal outside skin type cells and stomata, which are also on the outside. We're not going to be talking about something on the inside, like the cardiovascular system, which are veins and arteries. And then we're also not going to be talking about the skeleton. Likewise, for choice A, we're not talking about the skeleton, nor are we talking about the lungs, because that's also very, very much on the inside. So the best choice we could probably choose is going to be the integumentary system and the respiratory, because even though choice D has integumentary system like the skin system as well, the cardiovascular system, again, is on the inside where it's the arteries and veins for transport. So the best way to compare this is going to be the integumentary and respiratory, because there's gas exchange, which would be respiratory, and integumentary system, which would be like the skin, which is the epidermal or skin cells of plants. So that's going to be our final answer. Here's another question that we're going to try. So the first thing we're going to do is read and highlight. So prairie plants that live in dry climates have large underground root systems. How does this help these plants in this specific environment? So you're going to read through and highlight. So let me do that for y'all. So it's important to know that we're focusing on dry climates and that we're talking about large underground root systems. The diagram obviously is important as well because it's showing you the depth of the roots for certain plants. So now we're going to focus on what is the question asking, right? The question is asking what? It's asking why does having large root systems help plants in dry environments? So we're rephrasing the question to make sure that we know exactly what we're trying to answer. So why does having large root systems help plants in dry environments? Well, let's look into our knowledge. The root system is in charge of absorbing water from the ground, and dry climates mean that there is less water around for any absorption to happen. So we're going to use this knowledge to eliminate and choose our best answer. So we know that the roots help take in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis is not related to water absorption right now, because also roots don't help take in carbon dioxide. That would be the leaves. So that is a random answer choice that is actually wrong. So we're going to cross that out. The roots keep the plants cool when they overheat is also an incorrect answer, because the roots are not in charge of dealing with plants overheating, right? The plants are protected by their cuticle and their stomata on the top in regards to hot temperatures, not the roots. The correct answer is going to be that the roots provide more surface area for absorption of water and nutrients, because in answer choice B, the roots manufacture water during a drought would not be possible because the plants cannot create water out of nowhere, right? The roots are just longer to be able to have more surface area, which means better chances of absorbing any water if there is any, because we know that in a dry climate, there's not that much water to begin with. So the answer choice is going to be D. Now you are going to go ahead and try for yourself. There are 4 questions that you're going to be working through using the Rake method, and you should be able to draw, highlight, type, and cross out and circle any of your answers that you're working with in order to read and highlight, ask what the question is asking, or rephrase it, show what knowledge you have on this topic, or at least pull it from the cheat sheet, and then eliminate the wrong answers and choose your best answer. So there's this question, this question, this question, and this question. So that should be the last slide that we're on. When you finish these, you're going to go ahead and work on the exit ticket for today. Today's exit ticket does include a short quiz from the photosynthesis and cellular respiration class that we just had right before this one, so that we are getting to evaluate how well you know that material before we actually see how much we have to review it in the next STAAR session that we have on the same topic. So go ahead and finish up these 4 questions using the Rake method. We will be checking that you completed all 4 with the correct method, and then do your exit ticket /quiz.